knowledge that half of all U.S. marriages end in divorce, what is not always discussed is that 50% of all U.S. children will witness the divorce of their parents. With these numbers, one might ask how custody is resolved in the United States. Currently, the U.S. courts utilize the best interest standard. This standard is basically what it sounds like. The child is placed in custody of the parent whose parenting is in the best interest of the child. Ultimately, who makes the decision of what is in the best interest of the child is a judge. The judge takes many things into consideration, including which parent will provide the best home environment, which parent will provide the basic needs for the child, help in their emotional development, things like that. Because assigning custody is no easy task, judges frequently seek the input of mental health professionals. Child custody cases can be messy, as two parents desperately want custody of their child. Often allegations of abuse and sexual abuse arise from these cases as well. A highly publicized case encompassing some of the elements I've talked about is Allen v. Farrow. The case involved the celebrity couple filmmaker Woody Allen and actress Mia Farrow. They met in 1980 and soon had children together, regardless of never marrying and maintaining their own residences. Farrow entered the relationship with 6 kids from a previous marriage, of which 3 were biological and 3 were adopted. The couple adopted 2 more children together, and then they had 1 biological child together. By 1987, however, the couple's relationship began to deplete. Soon after, Farrow discovered nude photographs of her 22-year-old adopted daughter Soon-Yi in Allen's apartment. She discovered the two had been having an affair for 4 years. Upset, Farrow sought to gain custody of the 3 children that her and Allen shared. In addition, Farrow raised the claim that Allen had sexually abused their 7-year-old daughter, Dylan. This is where the case got extremely complex, as the way in which Dylan disclosed the sexual assault allegation was troubling. Mental health professionals became involved, psychological evaluations of Dylan were introduced, and Allen filed a countersuit alleging Farrow to be an unfit mother. Accordingly, I'll save you the mess and just give you the highlights. First, a clinical psychologist that was providing treatment to the couple's children, Dr. Susan Coates, was called to testify. It is important to note that because Dr. Coates had been treating the family, she was not there to give a suggestion on custody. She was merely there to talk about the parties involved. She testified that Allen had engaged in inappropriate behavior with Dylan before. She also testified that she was worried about Allen's safety as Farrow had been enraged over the affair he was having with her daughter Soon-Yi. This was notable because one of the case theories was that Farrow was making up the sexual assault allegation because she was so enraged with Allen. Correspondingly, Farrow's attorney ruthlessly questioned Coates and even questioned her professionalism. Coates eventually gave in and gave an opinion on custody, saying that she believed Allen could have regular unsupervised visits with the couple's son, but was not sure what she would recommend for their daughter, Dylan. Next, the court took a look at a psychological examination of Dylan conducted by the Child Sexual Abuse Center at Yale New Haven Hospital. The report concluded that Allen did not sexually abuse Dylan. The experts determined that there were problems in Dylan's thought process specifically, and that she had trouble distinguishing fantasy from reality. Although the team of psychologists who conducted this examination had a very good reputation, the credibility of the examination itself was questionable because the notes taken during the examination were destroyed. Both Farrow and Allen's team presented experts to testify on behalf of the credibility of the examination. Allen's attorney presented a psychologist who said the examination done was thorough. Farrow's attorney called a child psychologist who said the examination was seriously flawed. The judge ended up granting sole custody to Farrow because most evidence was suspect and Allen demonstrated severe parenting inadequacies. He also ruled that Allen's lawsuit claiming that Farrow was an unfit mother was frivolous. Lastly, he appointed a therapist to work with Dylan to determine if future contact with her father would be harmful or not. While evidently the judge made the best decision he could in appointing custody, this case brings up valuable issues in the criminal justice system. Firstly, in terms of the best interest standard, I think this standard is superior to previously used standards because it does not rely on gender stereotypes like previous standards did. And it does consider valuable attributes of the child's life. The only better way to assign custody, in my opinion, would be for outside the courtroom, among just the people involved, and if necessary, to utilize a mediator. Additionally, I believe that the professionalism in everyone in this case could have been better maintained. Farrow's attorney pressured Coates into giving a legal opinion she was not in a position to give. Dr. Coates gave an expert opinion when she was not qualified to. The examinators at the hospital destroyed all their notes, and the judge very liberally provided Allen with his personal opinion on his behavior. Obviously, custody, sexual abuse, and divorce can be emotional, but I think this hurts the objectivity of the case when professionals act in such a way. Lastly, this case can serve as an example of how important the manner in which children being questioned is. A huge reason why Dylan being molested was questioned in the first place was because Farah was the one that questioned Dylan, and she used leading questions such as, "What did Daddy do?" and "Did Daddy take off your underwear?" It is significant to note that in the 80s, allegations of childhood sexual abuse was at an all-time high because interviewing procedures largely contained questions that were very structured, like Farrow's. This could be better improved by incorporating more open-ended questions as opposed to questions that are in a yes or no manner.